Good evening, fam. It's yet another beautiful day that God has given unto us. Sorry for last week, I wasn't able to do a video. I was a bit under the weather, then I had a short travel, so it kind of disrupted or took some of my time, so I wasn't able to do that. But I thank God. Because of every minute, every day I'm above the ground. It's just a blessing to be here. So I came today. I want to just to speak about children, or rather childhood. I came across a video of a 17-year-old lady being picked up, like in a wrestling mode, by a man, and the man seemed slightly older, and I don't have much details of what was happening or why the fight broke out, but the guy like literally picked her up and banged her down on the ground, and unfortunately the lady died. And I came to understand that the lady was 17 years old. And it was such a sad sight to see such a scenario, or rather such a clip. I'm not gonna start asking where the person taking the camera was, or what they were doing, or what broke, or what happened. It's just a sad state, and violence has come somewhat to be a norm, especially in the young ones. Especially you can even hear stories of young people either committing suicide or killing one another in the name of relationship or something. And it just brought me down to go back, because when I started doing this, I have realized a lot about how the past can change, how the past can affect your future, how the past can just either bring good or bring bad or negative into your future because of what you're going through or how you were raised, lack of a better word. And then I looked at my life and what I went through as a child and how it has affected me. And sure enough, it has affected me. Probably if I had a different childhood, maybe I would be someone different right now. Maybe I would be, I would be totally different. I know that. I'm not here to regret my childhood, because I know everything happened under the watch of God. And if God allowed it to happen, then it was bound to happen. It's for me to understand why it happened and to move forward and look at the future and just see how I can make it better in my own space, or even if I can be able to influence, even if it's one person, or just make the best out of it, not lingering on the past and just trying to always complaining about stuff, just to look at the past and see how better can I make my future, how better can I make my future for my kids, for anyone around me. And I'm not gonna start now looking at this video that I saw and start blaming the guy. I've been in that situation of where I laid a hand on a woman. I'm not proud of it, but I've been there. I told you, I think in a couple of videos back. I have been also in a place, in a scenario where a lady would tell me that, you know what, ladies do provoke men. And I'm not here to justify or to try to make it blame this or that. It just took me back, and I started looking at how was their upbringing. Proverbs 22:6 says that train up a child in the way he should go. Even when he is old, he will not depart from it. So as young as a child is, when you train them up to be, probably God-fearing, or just in discipline generally, then when they grow up, it will never depart from them. I remember the first time I started like pinching my daughter. It was a very young age. And when I started it, I was having this backlash or this negativity from my ex, in the sense that, in my own thinking or in my own opinion, was, if my daughter knows that she's doing something wrong, then she has to know the repercussions, or rather the consequences of that. Because there's no way she's gonna go do something and she's looking at you if you're seeing her. So meaning she knows that she's doing something wrong. So if she knows she's doing something wrong, then she should be able to take up some punishment. And it was very young, and somehow I was a bit also afraid of, am I really doing it the right time? Am I trying? But I wasn't that harsh on her. But I later came to understand that I was somewhat right, because as years went by, I never had to lay a hand on her. I just looked at her and she knew that that's not right, and she just stopped it. And to date, we just talk. I just tell her, you know what, that's not right. And if we continue, then there are repercussions. And she stops. And it just brings me, I'm not saying I'm the perfect dad. I'm to be honest, I can only say that I'm blessed to have a daughter like her, because we can talk, and we can have an understanding of some sort. So it's more not me being a perfect dad, it's more of me appreciating the blessing that God has given unto me, that I can be able to get into that space with my daughter and have an agreement. We cannot do this, or we can do this, or we cannot do this. This is bad, and we have that agreement. So it's more of a blessing, not even concerning me. Anyway, so when I look at this scenario, and I went back and just wondered, what could be the cause of this? What could bring this man to this state of lifting this woman and just smashing her on the ground? What was going through his mind at that moment? And then I remember that lady, who told me, a lady somewhere who just told me that women do provoke their men, and they push buttons that men can feel maybe infuriated, or not infuriated, but emasculated rather, and it can trigger some anger of some sort. I'm not justifying. I'm just trying to look at it on a kind of plain level. And but you see that at the end of the day, what was going on through their minds? And again, this lady is 17 years old. She's not supposed to be in such, I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm just trying to think what was going through the man's or the guy's mind to get to that, and it just brought me back to I don't know how his childhood was. I don't know how he was brought up. I don't know what was going on. I don't know what. And it was a bit painful, because today's parenting is somewhat wanting, and the African way, the way we were raised, is that there was no talking back to your parents. There was no negotiation. There was nothing. You just told, do this. If you don't, then you get a beating, and it was as simple as that. And now for us to get children, we overcompensate that, and we try to teach, or rather not even teach, we try to raise our children in a loving way, and we go wrong in the loving part, because we think buying our children gifts and making them not face the consequences, or even not disciplining them, is a part of love. Because we tend to equate love as not beating or not punishing. Yet the Bible clearly states that we have to discipline our children, whether like it or not. Spare the rod and spoil the child. We have to. And it's a crucial state we are in, because we live in that fear of the past, where we were brought up in a kind of a dictator kind of, quote unquote dictator kind of a setup, where your parents say this and that was it. And now we want our children, to be more our children to be more inclusive in everything that we do. We want to initiate conversations with them, which is good. It's good. I don't get that, because I want to have a relationship where my daughter is not afraid of me, where my daughter can come up and just tell me anything, and we have that discussion. If it's beating time, then definitely we're gonna do that. But if it does not call for a beating, then there are many ways to bring up children. And when I looked at, when we were growing up, it was, I remember one of, most of the times when you're out there doing something and something was not right, I remember you would look around, not for your parent, but you look around for any parent figure. Like even your neighbor's mom can come and do you a good beating if you did something stupid. And it was that children were a society responsibility, in the sense that if I'm passing through and I see another kid misbehaving, it was my responsibility as a parent to discipline that kid. If I know the parent, follow up with the parent, go tell the parent that I have disciplined your kid because of ABCD. If I don't have that in me to discipline the kid, then it's my responsibility to go to tell the parent that I saw your kid do 1, 2, 3. Then as time went by, I remember there was a phase whereby even parents would tell them, hey, this is my kid, and I would raise my kid the way I want, so don't bother me. And that society thing started, losing meaning, and people stopped being involved in other people's businesses because of the rejection or the what do you call it? The feedback they got from, if I'm a concerned parent and I come to this particular parent and I tell them, okay, I saw your kid do this, and to me it was not right, and I probably disciplined them, or, you should do something about it. And the parent, instead of hearing my concern and, acting upon it, they would just lash out and say, hey, this is my kid. You go raise your kid the way you want to raise them. I'm going to raise them the way I want to raise them. And that brought some discord of some sort. And I really miss those days. It never made sense to me back then that, my neighbor's parent can punish me. It never made sense. But now it does. Because we as parents, we are busy. We are, everybody's busy doing this and doing that. And we are not always around our children. But that doesn't mean that if you're not around your children or your child, someone else is not also around your child. Someone else maybe is. And they might see something that is not right. And if they come tell you about your kid, I saw your kid doing this, and to me that was not right, and then I lash at them and say, hey, this is my kid. You go do whatever you want to do with my kid. I'm going to raise my kid the way I know. Then it brings that discord. And even if they see your kid doing something crazy, they will never come and let you know. Because they know you're not going to side with them. You're just going to blow up on your face and, just reject whatever they are trying to tell you. And that society parenting faded away. I don't know if it has, I doubt it has tried to surface, but it died away. And it's so sad. But then again, we don't want to parent our children. We don't want to discipline our children. When we go to church, we want to take them to Sunday school and let the Sunday school teacher take care of the kid. When we go to school, we take the children to school and expect the child to be disciplined there. Yet we fail to understand that everything begins at home. Be it discipline, be it whatever it is, it all begins at home. It's up to you and me to train up our children. If you want to change what we are seeing in our society nowadays, if you want to change what is happening, we have to start it from home. Everything begins at home. Charity begins at home, as they say. So it's upon us to see what can we do to make the society different. Yeah, probably you're one person. You cannot change everything at once, but you can start with your home. You can start with your child. If a child knows corruption is wrong from the get-go, it's hard for them to be corrupt when they grow up. If a child knows something is wrong from the get-go, it's hard for them to do it when they grow up. But if you are not concerned about our children's welfare, if you're out there just busy hustling and in the name of I'm looking for money, or I'm hustling for money for my children, and I don't have time for them, then I'm losing the point. I'm losing the meaning of all it is about parenting, about provision. Yes, as a parent, you're supposed to provide, but provision is not only about money. It's also about support, about emotional support, about spiritual support in terms of, taking them to church or letting them know about God or about anything. I remember one time when my brother was trying to teach his son. I can't remember the age, but he was teaching his son about how to look at the clock, at the analog clock, and just understand what it means by 3 minutes past 10 or 20 minutes past 10, and so on and so forth. And at that time, it never made sense to his ex-wife. Even to me, to some extent, I was a bit on the fence on that, but it never made sense to many of us. But when my nephew grew up, when it came to that subject of learning about clock, he was flawless. He was, there was nothing strange to him because his dad had already prepared him for that. It's the same thing with everything about life. If you train up your child before even he or she starts school, and you start teaching them about ABCD and all that, when they get there, it's going to be a walk in the park for them because they have already been prepared. Same thing if you talk about God, about principles, about morals. When life brings all these, they will know how to handle them because they have already been taught at home. When I looked at my life, I wasn't. I never learned much from home. I learned much from the street. That's why even alcohol was one of the things, because you wanna belong, you wanna be around people, you wanna be around that family, the street family. So you find yourself indulging in drugs, you find yourself indulging in alcohol, in trying to have these many relationships in the name of you just want to feel love. And I'm not trying to justify any behavior or any action. It's just something that really brings some heavy light to, or not heavy light, but just an enlightening moment of understanding that what we go through when we come up or when we're growing up, it has a lot to affect our future and how we see things, how we visualize things, how we perceive things, how we understand things. And everybody was involved back then. The neighbor was involved, the teacher was involved, everybody was involved, and when everybody was involved, they always had to come and also connect with the parent, so that you all are, in one accord, or rather in one space, whereby this child is doing ABCD and that is not right. So if the parent is alive and is present, then the parent should take that mandate and that responsibility of disciplining the child. And the child should know that the discipline is not about hatred, it's about the betterment of their life, of their future. So when you see such a man lifting up a lady and just banging them on the ground, and you just get some chills, only to realize that the lady was 17 years old and that she died later. That's so sad. 17, she had an entire... It's so sad. I wish we just take that initiative of getting involved in our children's business. Let's if possible, because when most of us grew up, we had let me just call quote unquote harsh parents, But you see, at the end of the day, that's what they knew. They knew nothing more than that. We are in a better advantage place because we know a bit more. We know parenting is not just about disciplining and just being a dictator. It's more about, a relationship with your child. It's more about being included in your child's life and just engaging with your child. It's more of that. But is there a way we can try and balance? Because I know for a fact that if my upbringing was as soft as I would have loved it to be, probably I'll be dead right now. Probably I'll be involved in some crazy, crazy, crazy things right now. Probably I'll be a thief or a drug dealer, or just something crazy, probably. So I will not take away the harsh part or the disciplinarian or the dictator part. I will not take it all away. But is there a way I can now take some of that and take some of what I've learned about, having relationships with the children. More. Let me just call it more of the Westernization kind of parenting. Where the children are. They also have rights, as they call it. Well, it can never 100% work in Africa. But anyway, I hope you get what I mean. Can we take then what we grew up with and try to include what we learn and just mesh them together, so that when it comes to discipline, there's no debate on that. There's no argument. There's no negotiating about that. If it's discipline, it's discipline. You're not doing this you don't hate your child if you discipline them. You're not doing this because you hate them. You're doing this because you love them. The Bible says God or rather disciplines the people He loves. So meaning it's about love. It's not about hatred when you discipline your child, because you're looking at the future. If I don't train my daughter right now to understand that she will not always get what she wants, when she gets out there, she will always know that if I ask, I'll get it. And when she goes and she'll start looking at funny relationships out there. Just in the name of, she knows that if there's everything she wants, she will get it. I'm not speaking about being a go-getter or anything. I'm just, in life, there are many things we want, but we will never always get everything we want, because there's some discipline involved. Right now she's 6.5 years old. No matter how rich I can be, I can never buy her a Lamborghini right now for her birthday. I can never do that, because first of all, she does not know how to drive. She does not, even if she knows, she does not have the discipline to be on the road. And if I buy her that in the name of love, then I've killed her. She will drive it, and 2 minutes later, there's an accident, probably a fatal one. So some things just need discipline. So when I don't give my child something she wants right now or she loves right now, that doesn't mean I hate her. It's just something I'm just, as a parent, I have to look and see and just weigh, how is this thing gonna affect my daughter? And that's the same. That's how we're supposed to be as parents, and that's the same way God does to us. Many times we're praying, I want this, I want that, and God is looking at it as, if I really do this is gonna mess this person up. And sometimes I know we are impatient. Sometimes I know we get frustrated. Sometimes we lash out at God and just, But all in all, can we just be aligned with what the Word of God says? Like in Deuteronomy 5:29, "Oh, that their hearts would be inclined to fear me." This is what God is saying. "And keep all my commands always, so that it might go well with them and their children forever." So it goes all the way back to being aligned with God. It goes all the way back to being in line with God. When you're in line with Him, He'll be able to direct you, to show you, okay, this is not right, this is right. And then you receive the blessings of God. That's about it. And I would definitely want to see justice being done to that situation where that man just banged that lady. But for us to stop and, to reach a place where we stop now looking at things and, just giving, just brushing them off, I think we just need to start at home. What are we doing to our children? What are we doing to the next generation? What is it that we are doing in the name of changing what we are seeing right now? Because that is not a sight to behold. That is a sight to... It was a scary sight for me. So what are we doing in our household? Are we spoiling our children in the name of love? Are we pampering them too much in the name of love? Are we instilling discipline? Are we showing them this is the way? Are we training them up to grow in discipline? In as much as we pray for them, in as much as we continue, because a child is raised by God. There's no way you can tell me you're raising a child. Like, a child can only be raised by God. But even if he or her is being raised by God, there's also the parental touch. The blessing comes from home, from the parents. So you cannot just say, okay, you know what, God has me and, my child is... No, it has to start with you. As long as you're in line with God, then your child follows suit. So what are we doing to change the next generation? What are we doing to change the stories that we are seeing out here? What are we doing? Just something to think about, something to ponder on. And I pray that God will just shed some light on it and and change our perspective on how we relate with our children for the betterment of their future. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your time. God bless you. See you next time.